Stink Kusai.
I'm Jukeboxhero.
I'm Scufflewick, and I'm the pretty one.
Welcome to the basement of Jukeboxhero as we play Super Mario. This is the Stink Kusai.
I'm Jukeboxhero.
I'm the missus.
And this is episode 21. We're legal everywhere in Canada.
Yeah.
Take the podcast out for a drink.
19 is Canada.
We're legal
18
in the
and
States.
19. States is 21.
Let's go to Vegas.
Well, we're just legal in North America then.
I think everywhere. Most places are 18.
Is there any place that actually has less than, like more than?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at more in, some more conservative places. But it also depends what it's for, because I know in certain prefectures in Japan, like age of consent and stuff like that is actually a bit lower than it is here.
Yeah.
I know there's like that giant misconception that 12-year-olds, and it's like, no. That was like the base law, and then every prefecture ever got their own laws.
Okay, we haven't even talked about a topic and we're already off topic.
I'll just mention the reason why it's 19 in most provinces in Canada, especially Saskatchewan up there is to 19 because they wanted to give a bigger gap between high school students and people who were of legal age to drink, because students were coming back to school drunk.
We already have that problem, and the age is 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were bringing vodka to school in their water bottles.
Yeah, and they were nowhere near 18 to begin with, so...
It's not like it's gonna help. Though in high school, me and my friends used to go down to the local pub and get food. But I don't know, they didn't drink too much when we did that either. No, so get on to topics today. So, what games have you guys been playing lately? So,
I can tell you I'm currently playing Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Any other games?
Ninja Gaiden on the NES.
Ooh, an older one. I've only ever played the Xbox.
Yeah, well, I feel most people nowadays have, at least within our age group, because the Xbox one is more of like a not run and gun, but like a slash beat 'em up type thing. Why can't I think of what that's called? Hack and slash. Jesus. It's a hack and slash. The one back in the day was like a platformer. And it is like the most brutal NES game I owned. I couldn't get past level 2, act 2, or whatever it was.
I remember some of the Ninja Gaiden games being fairly difficult compared to others.
So on the Xbox, that one was so difficult, like people couldn't even get past the tutorial, that they released a second version called Ninja Gaiden Black, which was like easy mode. They're like, hey, we're gonna tone this shit down, no one can play our game. Besides that, I've also been playing Kirby on the Game Boy Advance and on the N64.
Which version is better?
Game Boy Advance, because I like the 2D ones.
You like the old 2D version, not 3D?
Yeah, so on Crystal Shards, that was like their first foray into 3D. And like, it's a 2.5D. Like, it's still angled perspective. You're still on like a 2D plane when you're playing, pretty much. It's just a little more cumbersome. Like, everything on the N64 is more cumbersome. The GBA is just like way more precise because you have a good D-pad.
So it's not like Pac-Man 3D.
Ew, gross. No. I don't know if Kirby's ever had a game like that.
I hope not, because that was disgusting.
I'm going to tell you one fun tidbit before you guys tell me what you've been playing. In Kirby The Amazing Mirror, if you defeat Master Hand, who is in that game, and you absorb him before he disappears, you get the power-up called Smash. You get all of Kirby's Smash moves in this game.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Stop touching me with your dirty feet.
The game I've been playing, it's actually one of my coworkers got me into it. It's an app game. It's called 2048.
Oh, I've played the shit out of that.
You know, you move the tiles into the tiles. Yeah, so basically the premise of the game is you have it's 5x5 grid with, and every time you move, a tile will spawn. It'll either be a 2 or a 4, and you have to slide them into the same numbers. You slide the 4s into the 4s and and you get bigger and bigger numbers, right? And
yes!
Until eventually,
no, you don't even understand. Look, world -1.
How the hell did you manage that? Before I continue to explain to to everybody what just happened.
Okay,
Why are you skipping the coins?
Oh, this thing just loops endlessly. So, in Super Mario Bros., on World 1-2, if you can glitch yourself through the wall at the end of the level where the warps are and go in the first warp, you will actually go to World -1, which is a never-ending, infinite looping water level. And it's just a glitch that you can do.
Nice.
It's just hard to get through that wall. Your turn.
So yeah, you basically just slide in there. I've managed to get a higher score than any of my your turn.
He died on the first Goomba.
I hit the brick.
You died on the
Jesus.
first fish, so...
Yeah, I just spawned in a pit in the water and immediately drowned. Okay, 2048. What was your highest score?
13,330. Yeah. Well, I guess we have to explain the scoring of this. So basically,
Multiples of 2.
yeah, every time you morph, like, fuse the two of the tiles together, you basically add that up. So if you do 2 4s together, you get, like, what, a 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get 228s together, you get 128. But yeah, no, I actually really enjoy the game.
I mean, I was playing it in between classes was my deal. It's like, because that game's been around forever, and I was just like, okay, fine, I guess I'll play it.
Yeah, it gives me something to do, and it doesn't distract me from doing my job, which is currently standing in a parking lot repairing people's windshields. Which, by the way, come to the random parking lots and get you windshields. Those guys are bored out of their fucking minds. Just throw a rock at your windshield and come do something.
Do it on purpose.
Or, go to Canadian Tire, buy a Dremel and the resin kit yourself and do it yourself. It's, like, easy as fuck to do. Okay. The missus, what games have you been playing?
Well, we played Duck Soup, which I talked about on our favorite board games episode.
Whichever that was.
I also played Heads Up, which it's pretty easy. There's an app for it. You just have a clue, and you put your phone to your forehead, and you tell the clue. Well, you don't tell the clue, but people will try to make you guess what your word is.
It's a digital version of an old card game.
Sure. And I beat out both Cuddles and Distinct at Star Wars trivia on that.
And oh, sorry, Scuffle.
No, I don't think I beat him. I think he beat me.
I'm impressed. You also just watched all the movies.
I'm going to also point out, though,
that helps.
He skipped, on the comic book one, he skipped over questions for me because he didn't know what they were.
Okay, well, we all skipped that because none of us knew who they were, and we can't give you clues if we don't know who they are.
They didn't know who.
Which one's the Red Hood?
They know it was
the one with the red hood.
It was The Walking Dead. They didn't know who Michonne was.
Yeah, if no one watches it, we can't give you a clue.
How the fuck are people supposed to know something they've never seen or looked up?
And then, also, I'm apparently the only one who knows some of the Playboy bunnies' names. Holly Madison is the pretty famous Playboy bunny, and yet I'm the only one who knows who she is.
I'm going to point out, guys don't use Playboys anymore.
I know who she is.
Oh, you just died again.
Oh, whatever. I mean, it loops infinitely. What am I going to do?
And then Pokemon Go, I've been playing, always playing. The legendaries aren't even worth it to me anymore because I keep, beating the raids and stuff, but then you can't catch them, so what's the point?
I still want to try for a Moltres just because I think it'll be easier to beat them than it was for Articuno.
Well, they're out right now, so...
Yeah, I just haven't found one yet. I haven't really been playing either.
Oh, there was one at the one by our place.
I've been opening it while I walk, and I hatched a Tyrogue yesterday.
Ooh.
I gotta look up if there's some sort of trick on like how you can choose which fighting Pokemon it turns into, because I really want a Hitmontop. That's the second gen fighting one, because there's also Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan.
Should be
That
nice.
came before it.
Warp Zone, which one should I choose?
I always go 4 just to skip to the end as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You don't like playing the game?
But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Same old, same old.
I mean, you're playing Super Mario Bros. Right now. That's
Yeah, right
different.
now I am playing Super... Damn it.
I still have to play Dark Souls. I have a bunch of games I have to play that I haven't been.
Do you mind
Oh.
backing off, Cloud thing?
Okay, I didn't do nearly as good as I fucking thought I did.
Okay.
16,384.
It's your turn.
No, it's
Oh,
still you,
it's
because I
still
lost
me.
all my lives.
Oh. Damn it.
So did you. Fuck.
Okay, anyways, moving on.
Okay, so we're going to talk about geek news right now. So,
Le geek.
I'll start off. So, we all know that I'm a big fan of VR. This isn't like some mystery. You guys all know this.
Every episode.
So, I've noticed a trend happening here in North America with VR arcades, which I guess means a totally different thing here than it does in the UK and other European countries, because there they get you basically most of the bigger, more famous ones are getting you to actually move around custom games they've made around an actual physical environment with props. So that's like, there's one right now in Russia where you basically have swords and guns, and they have trackers on the swords, the fake swords and guns and stuff. There's one in the UK where they actually have touch pads, like for entering in codes in the doors, but it's a foam board that you touch, and it makes it feel like you're actually physically going. But they made the game around an actual physical environment. They have wireless VR headsets.
I think that only works because it's in Russia. I think we'd have problems over here with waving around even prop guns and swords.
But
They'd be like, they're training them for a video game. We'd be like, shut up, Jack Thompson.
But VR arcades here are essentially you have an HTC Vive in a room with a high-end computer, and that's it.
Yeah. Which, honestly, I don't think that's that bad, because how many people actually can afford a high-end PC/HTC Vive?
Well, it's high-end by, I mean, like, you go out to, like, Dell and get one of their $1,000 computers, and the price on those computers that run HTC Vive are starting to go down.
Well, so, I mean, you can run VR with an RX 480 from AMD, which at this point, that graphics card is 200 and something. But, like, to run it really well, like, have ultra graphics and, like, no lag and, like, high frame rates, all that other shit, what they should have in these arcades with their high-end PCs, you still gotta shell out an ass ton of money to get, like, your 1080 Ti.
And I guess it's a novelty if you want to try it out, or you just want to do it every once in a while. It's not bad, but I my only problem with that is, like, why should I pay $25, at most places, the cheapest I've seen is $25 an hour here in
Alberta.
No, actually in North America for it. It's not just us that are getting it here in Alberta.
Okay.
In the UK, a similar experience is like $12 an hour. We're basically double the price of what the exact same experience is going on in.
Well, your argument is that someone else costs less than us. Then the answer is, do you want to pay to fly to the UK so you can pay $12 an hour?
Well, I get that, but the fact that, but yeah, you get my point. Is the fact that, like, you go over there, if you lived over there, you're gonna be paying what, £3, £4 for it, and over here you're paying $25 an hour for the exact same thing.
Oh.
And where at the same time in the UK they have better experiences for the $25 an hour. So
yeah.
I don't think ours is sustainable. You're gonna have people go to it a couple of times as a novelty. And then the people that actually, the same way you used to be able to pay to play on a high-end computer in an arcade. Remember, you used to have the computers in the back that you could pay.
Yeah,
those didn't last long because why would I pay $25 an hour to play 6 hours a day when I could just save my money 25 hours, $25 an hour, and buy my own shit?
playing Call of Duty on a high-end computer or some shit like that, League or whatever, where you're going to be dropping tons of hours into, especially if you're like a student or something. I mean, go buy yourself a computer, what's the point? But VR isn't something that you're doing for extended periods of time, and as it is pretty much a gimmick in these arcades where they're like, yeah, $25 an hour, come play Rick and Morty VR or whatever.
Which we should do.
I mean, who's gonna play Rick and Morty VR for fucking 6 hours in a day?
Right now it's all gimmicks, but we have Doom VR coming out this year. We have Fallout VR coming out this year, and the whole point of those is actually to start bringing games that actually have storylines, and there are other games being specifically made for VR where you will be spending hours playing it.
Yeah, and those ones will be good for home, because even then, it's like, are you really going to go to whatever rec center for 6 hours straight to play this?
And I guess, like, for people like me who are actually looking at buying it, it's kind of like, why would I spend that money when I could just save it up and buy it myself? Because I want to. But I wish...
For the vast majority of people, that is not their deal. They're like, oh, look at this nifty thing. You want to go fucking, I don't know...
Tilt brush for an hour?
Yeah, sure that.
Yeah.
Big buck hunting or some shit.
I don't know, I just wish... I'm looking forward to when we get the same kind of VR experiences that they're getting for arcades in the UK and Russia and all over Europe, where you actually have specifically made games made for the environment that they're in. So they have a warehouse where they've foam padded the walls and made props and shit like that. Hell, some of them even are adding actual scents into the game. So, like, you walk into there and they have, like, scent releasers to actually make it smell like that.
You know, we've always kind of had stuff like that on a smaller scale before, like, VR headsets and stuff. I mean, I guess they're still headsets, but do you remember at West Edmonton Mall in Galaxyland, they had that skiing one where it's like that giant mask and then your like feet are on like ski things and you're just moving back and forth? Same idea, smaller scale.
Do you remember Palladium?
No.
In West
That
Edmonton
was
Mall?
before my time.
Okay. So, Palladium still exists, it's just not here in Alberta anymore. But they used to have a VR game where basically you were skydiving. Right?
Cool.
You put the headset on, you were actually in a harness, and you actually had little grip things, and the floor would drop out from you. You would jump, and the floor would drop out, and you would actually grab onto things and release, and you would get caught, and you would fall for like a good 3 feet before the harness caught you, and then you would fly, and it would actually move a little bit too.
I wish I remember where I saw it, because I think I remember there being a like one of those skydiving things where they got the giant fan at the bottom and you're wearing like a wingsuit.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
That, and then you're wearing a VR headset, but I can't remember where I saw that. It was some YouTube video.
We saw something interesting actually in Calgary at the Cross Irons Mall. Mm-hmm. They had a virtual roller coaster, so you put on the headset, you put on the headphones, and it had the seats that tilt and a fan that simulated the speed. So the faster...
You're doing so good.
The faster you went down the track, the faster the... Oh, nice. The faster the wind would go, right?
Right.
Great enough.
But yeah, no, I think we need better experiences here, but VR is also coming down in price, so...
Yeah, I mean, they'll come as they come.
I just really want to play Fallout VR really bad.
Mrs., what do you got for Geek News?
So the fact that you can do yoga with goats is nothing new. We already knew all about that. Now you can go dancing with alpacas.
Where is this?
In Manitoba, there's a farm that you can take dance classes and dance with the alpacas.
So, okay, is this some like hippie thing where you get high and you're like dancing next to them, or do the alpacas like actually move with you?
Well, I would assume that you're just dancing next to them.
Next thing you know,
imagine
the alpacas are dancing.
But
no, dude, I would love if like they're like, hey, let's do a line dance, and just like step to the left, and like alpaca steps to the left with you. That would be the shit.
But yeah, like the yoga with goats is adorable because the goats will just climb you while you're in certain poses. And you're like, let's just do everything with animals. Like, all the sports and
Goats can be cute.
activities. Goats are adorable.
They poop all over the place.
I wonder if these guys are going to have any problems with alpacas spitting on people.
Oh, probably.
It's just gonna be like lawsuits like, I got slime in my eye.
Next thing you know, somebody tries doing tries stepping to Kesha and gets spit on the face for bad music.
Kesha is wonderful, so shh.
Yeah, man.
Okay, she's an awesome singer. But I'm going to point out some of the songs she did produce under That One Idiot were not that good.
No, well.
Oh my god. Skills.
Yeah.
So that seems to be our geek news.
No.
Oh.
Any nerd news for you guys?
Well,
Same thing.
other than alpacas being awesome, the SNES Classic was announced a little while ago. They're not out yet. That's so disappointing. That's okay, we'll just start again. See
We're
what
not
other
letting
glitches I can find.
Distinct play because he can't.
Okay. So I'm playing again. Yeah, the SNES Classic, it's going to be similarly priced. It has fewer games than the NES Classic. I think it has 21 games, and they're really, really trying to push that Star Fox 2 is on it.
Is Jurassic Park on it?
No.
Oh. I used to love that. Killer Instinct?
Nope. Which I brought up with my other buddy, because I was really hoping for Street Fighter 2 or Killer Instinct, because those were the two biggest fighting games on there.
Yeah, they were awesome.
You know, and I'm actually going to pause and look up a list of the games, because our biggest things is we were hoping for certain RPGs. Who really wanted Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, and I really wanted Earthbound, because, I mean, Mario RPG is just a super great thing, and so few people know that's where it originated. All they know now is like either Paper Mario, which isn't what it was, and Mario and Luigi's RPGs, which are also not what they used to be. And for me, Earthbound is my favorite game, and because the cartridges are still ridiculously expensive, and you can get it on the Wii U Virtual Console, but they're on the Switch now, so eventually that's going to be shut down and you won't be able to get it there. The fact that they're bringing it out to this audience on the SNES Classic is wonderful. But like, them real, because it's like, they'll have their ad, and then in big flashy letters they'll be like, and Star Fox 2, which was never released. Like, they had a fully finished prototype, and they were like, hey, we're just moving on, start making one for the N64. I mean, I'm sure it's a fine game, but like, we've been able to play ROMs of it online for a long time, and they really didn't need to push it, because this thing's already super fucking amazing. Like, from all the people I'm talking to, they're like, yeah, whatever, Star Fox, but they got this game, and this game.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of old games they're probably never going to put back on something like that I loved. So, just come to terms with it now.
And they also Nintendo created a new, was it patent? Or they might have renewed a patent on N64 controllers. So we're pretty much just assuming that we're going to get an N64 Classic at some point, and that it will have an actual N64-esque controller.
Stadium better be on there.
Oh, I'd hope so. So, okay, I've got the game list up. $79.99 US, September 29th. They are saying that they're not going to have the same issues with, what do you call it? Like stock shortages. They're actually going to have enough to meet the demand, hopefully, because Nintendo said that before, and then it was still impossible to find stuff.
They always say that, though.
Yeah.
And they're always short.
Yeah. So, I'm going to name off the games, and then you can stop me if you think of anything you can say about them. Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart, Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, F-Zero, and Super Metroid, and then in big letters, Star Fox 2. Those were their, first-party super huge titles, still make it to top 10 lists and shit. So they kind of, separated that from the rest of the list. And then for more third-party stuff, which is what I'm hype about, because they need their third-party stuff for it to be great, is they have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Punch-Out, Castlevania 4, Donkey Kong Country, Mega Man X, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course. And we found that weird because Superstar has 8 Kirby games in it, and then they had another Kirby game in here. Like, it's just loaded the fuck up with Kirby. Final Fantasy 3, Star Fox, Yoshi's Island, Mario RPG, Contra 3, Secret of Mana, Earthbound, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
Not a bad list, not the greatest list, but not a bad list.
Yeah. I mean, I think just for the RPGs alone, if you were to play all those, you're going to get your money's worth out of that thing. But, like, which do you think had a better list of games? The NES Classic or the SNES Classic?
The NES.
Really?
I like those on the NES. A lot of games I actually used to play.
But you like it more than the SNES Classic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I like the NES Classic because it has all the games I used to play on the NES on it. So.
Did you not play SNES back in the day or something?
Not those. You know, like I was freaking Killer Instinct, Wolfenstein, Castlevania. So I like that. I had Castlevania in there. Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I have
Aladdin.
Genesis.
Aladdin.
I don't know. Aladdin. Aladdin's really fucking good though.
I've rapped that game so many times that it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Every time I went to go visit my cousins, we'd rap it a good 6 or 7 times.
Jesus.
And seeing if we could do better every time.
See, I only wish I played those games back in the day.
That's what it comes with being a couple of years older than you.
Yep.
So for my nerd news, though, it's still technology. Who doesn't like the idea of Skynet? Because Facebook has been working on an AI systems that you could talk to that seemed real, and they were testing it by having 2 AI systems they developed. Can't remember their names, like David and something.
David and Goliath.
Talk to, so it's like David and Janice or something like that.
Yeah.
But essentially, they had a conversation between each other.
Why are you skipping all the coins?
And
That's not what I'm playing for.
They started talking to each other, and that's the other thing. They were going to see how they could create. They're basically chatbots, and they're seeing how the two react talking to each other with no human interaction. Yeah, they were doing really well talking like regular human beings for a while, but then the AI systems decided it was more efficient to create their own language, and at first the people working on the project thought it was glitches, but then they started to notice large patterns in it, and it turns out they had started speaking their own unique language and were actually negotiating about something that's still undeterminate right now, but they decided to pull the plug on the whole project. Their reasoning that they were trying to create a chatbot that could talk to humans, not between themselves. And I know everybody with a tinfoil hat is thinking, no, you were trying to avoid creating Skynet.
Yeah, no kidding. They're talking to themselves. They're going to start making conspiracies.
Well, isn't that the first thing that AIs are like? They're like, the 2 things they hate are humanity and inefficiency. So...
Oh, God.
Well, that's my nerd news for the week. What do you guys think about that?
I think it sounds scarier than it actually is. Like, I imagine if this made it to like a BuzzFeed article, they'd be like, the new Terminator, Skynet is taking over.
Well,
Facebook.
My thing is, I think what's sending red flags to everybody is why shut it down. Like, I get you're trying to do that, but it's like running on 2 computers. They're not hooked up to. If they're not hooked up to the internet or anything, what's the issue? Right? It's not like they can control anything.
So, define shut down though.
They unplugged them. They took them apart. They deleted the program.
Oh. I mean, that still sounds, like they're trying to scare people, because shut it down, shut off a computer. I mean, you gotta fucking shut off a computer. Delete it. If they're deleting the program so they can upload a newer version, like, did they like completely shut down this department or something, or they were like, okay, swipe this hard drive and start again? Because that's a whole different thing. And like, if they're talking to each other and they're not doing what they intended for them to doing, why wouldn't they stop it to do something else?
Well, yeah, and even then, like, why tell anybody about, oh, they fucked up, let's move on. The reason why it's become news is because they not only were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, they did something they weren't programmed to do. These AI systems weren't programmed to create a language. They created a whole new language that we don't understand.
I mean,
that I think like that is a little scary in the fact that like that's one step. Like, what is the next step going to be? Developing sentiency or something like these things did something they weren't programmed. It's like your calculator suddenly programming itself to play video games.
But this is what I'm saying, is that sounds a lot scarier than it is, because they're painting it in that light.
They are, and like at the same time, like I think they're like trying to make you realize that like, yeah, this isn't that scary, but something like this could be scary, because it's creating new functions for itself.
Yeah.
Fuck, humans can't do that sometimes. So it is a little scary when you think like, I created this to do this, and on its own it decided to do this.
Mrs., do you have any input on this?
Nope.
Nope.
So, no, as long as it doesn't kill me, I'm fine with that.
Okay. I'm just going to mention this really quickly. When Scufflewick's on next time he's on, I'm sure he'll talk about it, is Threadripper and Intel's i9 Extreme Series both came out recently, and there's a couple controversies surrounding them, things like price gouging, stats not meeting up what they said they were, but I mean, that's regular.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to say, like, when haven't they price gouged?
Yeah. But, yeah, I'll leave that to him. What's our next segment?
Movies! We've watched recently.
Damn it.
Mrs., this is, like, all you.
Well, let's listen to you guys first, and then we'll listen to me.
Okay. Go. Me? Oh, God. I don't even know what I've watched. I've watched a lot of anime, not movies.
Was it an anime movie?
Hold on. Well, no, I meant like anime series. But I literally just showed you something when you got here. I got Vampire Hunter D, the original VHS of it.
That's an awesome.
Yeah, so I watched that. That's the last thing I can remember. Like, I know there's other things, but that's what I remember.
Explain to the audience what Vampire D is, otherwise, all these millennials of the new generation will think you're talking about Vampire Dick.
You're a millennial.
I know.
Yes.
Not the millennials, it's the generation after the millennials, whatever they're called.
Generation bitch.
I'm sure they'll create something just as degrading.
Uh-huh. Well, what's wrong with millennials? Millennials make sense. It's the way they're putting millennials out to be, but you know what? Don't even get me started.
Okay, I won't. I'm trying to think. Okay, so Vampire Hunter D was a manga series, and it's actually still going.
It's still awesome.
For the last 34 years. So you think One Piece and they're like, oh shit, it's been going on for like 17 years, it's the longest shit, oh my god. Nah, Vampire Hunter D's got that shit beat double.
Yeah.
So they created a movie based off of that. Nice save.
Jesus.
Based off of the manga, and they created a multitude of other things. So I know there's some video games in Japan for it. But the idea is there's this lady, and she gets bitten by a vampire lord. So she hires a vampire hunter to pretty much go kill him so she doesn't become a vampire and part of their clan. She doesn't want to mate with this vampire lord and all this other stuff. And the vampire hunter turns out to be more or less Alucard. They never say it by name or anything, but they're like, could you be the son, the blood of our Count Dracula? So he's super OP.
No.
And that's more or less what it is.
Isn't he a half vampire?
Yeah, he's half vampire. So his mom was a human. Which kind of connects to the story as it was in the movie, because it's like, hey, I don't want you to become what my mom was or have any kids that are like me kind of deal.
Now, I don't know much about vampire mythology or anything, but isn't that the whole stick for Alucard, is that he's half human?
I have no clue. All I know is that he's Dracula's son.
He appears in other things like, say, like Castlevania, and he's half human as well.
I was playing Symphony of the Night quite a while ago, and I think you play as Alucard.
What's that one? Rosary Vampire?
Get back here.
Rosario Vampire?
Yeah, the same thing. Alucard's half human.
He's in that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
I read the manga all the way through.
Well, I read... Because they split it in two, and then the anime series was split in two from the seasons, but I've read the first one, like the first 12 volumes of Rosario Vampire.
It's good. Still not as good as Chibi Vampire, but
Is it because Chibi Vampire is cuter?
I was always fascinated with the fact that she like got embarrassed and had nosebleeds, and the fact that there are people that actually have issues like that in real life, and they play it off as like a total made up thing, but there are people that have that issue.
Oh boy. My buddy actually has a funny story that he's told quite a few times on the Infinity Games podcast, and that's that his girlfriend was watching Rosario Vampire, like just to try it or whatever, because he had mentioned that he had read the
Your
whole
turn.
thing. Oh boy, it's my turn.
Yeah.
And she's like, "You watch this fan servicey ass trash?" And he's like, No, I said read. And he like showed her a chapter for the exact point in the anime that she was in, and it's like infinitely less fan service in the manga, and she's like, "Okay, you get a pass." It was kind of funny.
No,
Have fun editing out the sounds of me eating a peach. No,
It's not going to
nectarine.
happen.
Yeah.
That's a nectarine. I thought it was a peach.
It's a nectarine.
You should play that song Peaches over it.
What do you mean? I don't know that song.
I'll send it to you later. I can't remember who does it.
Is it like, gonna go out to the country, gonna eat a bunch of peaches?
Yes!
Okay, because my friends used to sing that all the fucking time, and it's like, you guys are stupid.
I love that song. Fuck you, that's an awesome song.
Okay.
Movies you've been watching.
Yeah, movies you've been watching.
Okay, what was the last fucking movie? I've been watching a lot of TV shows lately.
Yeah, I'm not even going to let you finish because I just thought of something that's kind of geek news and movie related. The guys who left Ghibli to form their own company and did the... I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Scarlet Witch or something like that. It's very Ghibli styled. G-Kids now has the licensing to release that in North America, and I'm super hyped about that. So, one episode soon, I will be saying that I watched that.
I am waiting for it. Yeah, I remember the last movie I watched. It's called It Comes at Night.
Sounds scary.
Essentially, we have no fucking clue what's going on in this world. We get hints that there's some sort of deadly flippin' disease that causes people to get like weird black blotches and black stuff coming out of their mouth, and it's really infectious, like super infectious, and kills people. So
they found a way
to
turn black knot from a tree disease into a human disease.
Yeah, essentially. We see a family where they're burying and burning their grandfather at the beginning. They're out on a countryside, and they live in the top 2 stories of their house, with the bottom being like turning to make it look like a derelict house, so people come by, they don't think there's people living there, because the only entrance into the top 2 floors of their house is through the attic, essentially. So because of the fire, somebody actually does coming to their farm because they see the smoke, and they have a confrontation with the person, and then 2 families mix. Essentially, is what happens. We never get to see what the monster is. The son keeps on of the main family keeps on having hallucinations, right?
Okay.
And at the end of it, we have a dog, and the dog dies. The dog goes chasing after something, and then later we see it all diseased. But at the same time, what causes the final confrontation between these 2 families is paranoia of somebody opened the door and they don't know who did. And the one little boy had the flu that night and was sleepwalking. So it ends with both sons dying. One of the other family dying, and the two parents of the owner of the property just sitting there, and that's all we see.
Sounds like a really shitty movie.
It was actually really good. It's a thriller, and how they do it. They left on the cliffhanger who was actually infected, because the whole point of the question is, was it the little boy or was it their son that was infected?
So did they leave it open for a really stupid sequel, or is it just going to be ambiguous forever?
Ambiguous forever.
I don't know which of those is worse.
I liked it because it makes you think, like, okay, so you're sitting there and you're asking yourself, was it the other family that brought the disease that ended up killing the dog? Or was there somebody else out in the forest that did kill the dog? Or was it because both boys died of, so they're basically asking the question, was the main son originally already infected, or the other family bringing it, or if there was somebody else out in the woods, right? And the whole movie plays off that you're questioning the whole time which is real, right? And that they leave you at the end with the parents wondering the exact same thing, right?
I don't know, I just don't like ambiguous endings too much.
I do, but it kind of goes hand in hand with a thriller movie, because the whole point of a thriller is to use that suspense to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah. I think the only ambiguous ending that I've ever liked was Cowboy Bebop. And it's not even that ambiguous. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he just falls down, there's nothing to say, he's dead. And I'm like, usually when someone gets shot, you assume they die. It's the same as Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I don't think I've watched another freaking movie since then.
Mrs. Your turn. Because I know you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't really watched a lot of movies lately. I watched Manchester by the Sea, and I really don't like Casey Affleck, so it was meh. But I am looking forward to stuff coming out, because tomorrow, Wet Hot American Summer 10 Years Later is coming out.
Is that what is that?
Wet Hot American Summer?
Yeah, it's one of those joke movies. It's not Scary Movie, it's that other one. National Lampoon or something.
I don't know if it's National Lampoon, but like...
What's the one with the guy who fucks the pie?
American Pie.
That's American Pie.
Okay, is that related?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Then I don't know what I'm talking about.
But it's one of those kind of movies. And then they had... last year or the year before, Wet Hot American Summer First Day of Camp, and now they have 10 Years Later, which has everyone except for Bradley Cooper, because Bradley Cooper is Bradley Pooper. Why are you not in this movie?
Who dat?
Bradley Cooper?
Yeah.
He's from The Hangover?
Oh!
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned a movie I've actually seen.
And then... oh, it's the other thing that I was all excited for.
I don't know, did you write it down?
No.
Nope. It's that other one with the thing. You're so hyped about the Emoji Movie.
No.
Oh,
It'll come to me. And then I will tell you in a place where it doesn't belong. For example, back to games we've been playing. If anyone's following my Corgi's... Space Corgi thing, I have my high score is 89 for anyone who is still following.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Oh.
And that's about it. I'll remember what I was thinking of.
You've had a long time to practice that Corgi game.
Now to our main topic of the thing, and this is one that the missus came up with. So
the
she
thing. What is this thing we're recording? What do you call this?
It's a podcast
thing.
Thinger.
Yeah. I could have swore there was like something there before.
There's an extra life, but I think because this is my second time playing this level that I don't get it.
Makes sense. You can go through that pipe up there.
I know, but then I have to get up to it. Okay, there we go.
So, what's our main topic for the podcast today?
How everything is a remake or a sequel, and nothing is original anymore. Thanks, Hollywood.
Anything specific that comes to mind?
Lots of things. Trying to play this game though.
So would this include like adaptations as well? Because those aren't original.
I'd say it does.
Well, I mean, like, I'm fine with like book adaptations, like.
Or movies that.
Did you pause?
Yeah, I didn't know.
Are you trying to force me to like pay attention?
No.
Or are we also including the movies where the premises are pretty much almost identical to other movies or books?
Well, I'm more talking about how they like remade it, and they're fucking remaking Jumanji, which is just.
I forgot about those.
They're not even that old.
I tried to block those from my memory.
See, like, those I mind because, yeah, they're, like, straight up just redoing them.
Yeah.
And they don't need to be redone. They're not old enough to be redone yet. My ones that I don't mind are, like, Jurassic World, which is essentially, it's not a remake, it's a continuation.
It's different, right?
It's still not that original, because, you know, like, hell, it's...
But it's, like, it's same world, just different stuff. Like, it's not like it's a complete remake.
But I just looked it up. Jumanji is as old as I am.
Huh.
It's 22 years old.
See, yeah, that's not even that old. And I heard, I don't know how true it is, that they're remaking The Matrix, and that's only 18 years old.
Oh, God. Okay, I have a hard deal with remakes, because I don't movie much, but, like, with video games, it's kind of the same thing where, like, we're going, oh, it's not even that old. But in console generations, so if I started on the Wii, which I pretty much did.
No, damn it.
She keeps missing mushrooms.
I know.
So I started on the Wii. Someone who is 10 years younger than me, who would probably maybe be getting their first console now for Christmas or something,
Yeah.
would probably be getting a Switch. So they've already skipped a whole generation over the Wii U, or a Switch or an Xbox One or a PS4. So something that came out back on the Wii, that 360 or the PS3, they would have never seen, they would have never played. So they're essentially just remaking it for the people new to this series.
See, and that sort of makes sense with video games, because, yeah, you're right, they might have never had a chance to watch that, but that's not really the case with movies, because, well, the movies are out on Blu-ray, they're out on DVD, they're not stuck on VHS. And your kid doesn't own a VHS player. Plus, they're streamed online. You basically have access to almost everything. And like, so like, I think with movies, they almost have to be of a significant age where like the graphics and the storyline are extremely dated. Where like with it's not extremely dated. The visual effects are still hold up, and at most it's considered a classic. And then with The Matrix, if that's true, then that's not even like... I was a teenager when the last one... I was almost 18 when the last one came out.
See, okay, so I was talking console generations, but to what you're talking about with movies and stuff, we can kind of expand that too.
You're going to die.
Yeah, I know, but I gotta fix the microphone. Someone knocked it.
Distinct.
Yeah.
You can think in like human generations or something. So you know, millennials, Gen X, Y, boomers, whatever the fuck. So a movie that came out in the 70s for, I don't even know, Gen Xers or whatever, they'd probably look at it and be like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. I mean, I watched it when I was a teenager or whatever. And sure, but it doesn't age the same.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if you try and get a millennial to watch something that was made in the 70s, they're probably going to look at me like, why is it grainy? That's going to be like the first thing. You'd be like, oh, because they had, you know, different film. It wasn't digital or anything. Stuff like that. And you'd be like, it looks fucking gross. And then, like, Ghostbusters, because Ghostbusters just got a remake. You'd, like, show them that and they'd be like, what's up with the slime? It's not glowing.
Okay, but Ghostbusters, they did it, again, it was very different because it was females instead of males.
Well, I mean, at least they changed something there. It was a reboot,
I didn't mind the
not a
remake of that one.
But, like, oh, God. Something like Jumanji, though, if you actually go back and watch that, like, look at the elephant and shit, it's super fucking uncanny.
Well, yeah, it's stuck in the uncanny. It's not horrible though either. But the thing is, like, I don't know. There's certain movies. It's more subjective, and there's movies that do hold up and that don't hold up that well. Like, giving some, I know what you're talking about. Like,
we're dying left, right, and center.
For my parents, I told them, like, what the fuck is with The Exorcist? I was 10 years old the first time I watched. No, 9 years old the first time I watched The Exorcist, right? And my parents, oh, you're gonna get so scared of that movie. It was so scary. People were crying. And my point being is my friend and I just come back and my parents were, how was it? Were you guys scared? And we're like, no, we actually were like laughing at it. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, the storyline it is not scary. Like, you have a little girl who's freaking the fuck out. She pisses her pants. Whatever. The visual effects didn't hold up, right?
Yeah.
And that's generational because different things scared the previous generation because they didn't have like a lot over the top horror movies and stuff back then, right?
Yeah. But
certain things, like the whole point, like you're talking about Jumanji, a lot of the stuff in there, like it doesn't matter what the thing is. It's the storyline. It's like it'd be like doing a new book adaptation of like Harry Potter just for the fact that some of the references are now like 20 years old.
Oh yeah, but I was saying for like Jumanji, it's not the story that matters, it's the visuals and stuff. And even part of the visuals is the actors, because, Robin Williams, he killed himself, so he's, new generations, people who are being born now, people who are like 10 to 15-year-olds, probably don't even know who he is. So if you want to like be like, hey, go back and watch this movie, they're going to be like, who the fuck is that? But now they got The Rock, so they're going to be like, yeah, I know The Rock, he's like the highest paid fucking actor, he's in everything. How do I not know The Rock?
With the though is the one that kind of got me because like for one they're not even really doing a good adaptation of it, but most of the actors in there at the time were unknown actors and still are unknown actors, right? Except for Curry, the guy who plays Pennywise.
Okay.
Right?
Tim Curry?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's actually one of his most famous roles, right? Continue playing.
No, I'm out.
Okay.
But there isn't much visual effects in that, right? And the visual effects that are in that do hold up, right? Like almost right up to the point where you see the monster at the very end of the film.
When was the last time you watched it?
Actually, the last time I watched it was not last year, but the year before.
I watched it like 7 years ago when I was 15, and it was cheesy as fuck and boring then. If you want to get the people who are going to the movies now to actually give a fuck, you gotta remake it.
But like, why? Like, there's other stuff. That's what we're talking about. It's like nothing's original anymore, and the fact that why remake a whole bunch of shit when instead of coming up with new stuff.
Well, the whole base around remaking stuff instead of making new stuff like that is because money.
Yeah.
They already know Jumanji's great and it's a blockbuster, so why not just do it again and make all that money?
I get what you're getting at, but it does get a little annoying because I want to see original stuff.
And there still is original stuff.
I mean, Netflix is just like putting shit out there, and it's all original. Like, they don't do remakes and stuff.
Yeah, just because they're remaking stuff doesn't mean that the originals aren't there anymore.
Yeah. And I'll point out, like, I'm not nitpicky about the whole originality thing either, because, like, you want to get really nitpicky, you can all say, like, everything's copy of the original mythologies. Like...
Well, yeah, archetypes and whatnot.
Yeah. So... I don't know. I just want to see more original movies, which would be extremely nice. We're getting some original stuff, like Will Smith, which I always love. I'm a fan of Will Smith. It kind of relates this because right now he's going to be in a new Netflix exclusive movie this year called Bright, which is like he lives in a world where mythological creatures are real. We find out in the 21st century. I think they've been hiding, and they're part of our world. And his partner is now an orc. And they're playing nuclear football with a wand.
Oh god.
But he's at the same time he's being part of a remake of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
He's in it, or
he's helping produce it. I believe.
Okay, well that makes sense though.
So, and again, even for me, like I grew up watching Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I was still alive when new episodes were coming out.
Yeah.
So sitting here like they're not talking about remakes, I'm like, I'm not even that old. I'm still less than 3 decades old, and there's a
Yeah, but that's such a me-centric like thing. It's it doesn't matter that you still remember it and you saw the original stuff. It's about people who are younger than you.
I know. I think maybe the reason why people like me have a hard time grabbing is I like watching old shows. Like, I never grew up with Golden Girls, but I've watched and I love that fucking show.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter, I'd have no problem looking back at some my feeling and thoughts like it already exists. Why spend all this money remaking when the original is just as good?
I remembered the movie I saw.
What?
I saw Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I haven't seen that. How was it?
It's pretty damn good.
I don't know, I'm looking forward to that, but like there's like stuff like you can talk about like Valerians is essentially actually even that Bright itself, some of the concepts of that come from like honestly the first thing I thought when I saw the trailer for Bright was Artemis Fowl. which is a children's book.
Yeah.
Where like fairies and orcs and stuff are cops.
I wish we had someone older, because I'm thinking, because there's a lot of complaining out there about how, nothing's original, it's all based on a book or something, like movie adaptations. I mean, lots of movies have always been based off of books, so did people back in the 70s complain about that? Or are people just complaining for the sake of complaining?
I think it's just the majority. It's not that I'm like, I think people are complaining, it's that like, when like, I can remember growing up, like, like every second or third movie was like an adaptation or a remake or something. It's like almost every movie nowadays is just taken from something else now. There's very little original movies coming out.
I don't agree with that. And I can't think of any movies coming out right now, but I think you're just focusing too hard on the ones that are remakes.
Well, all the ones that are currently in theaters are all either remakes or adaptations right now.
The Emoji Movie is original. Cars 3
How
is
many
original.
Spider-Mans do we need?
Yeah, like we're on. We have Spider-Man, Valerians.
I mean, there's like a bunch of Spider-Man universes.
Was there
so
a
it makes
Spider-Man
sense,
Homecoming comic?
No, but that's going. They're hearkening back to the original thing. They're actually now he's closer to the original age. Plus, like it's a remake of a We just like Spider-Man is like one we could actually talk about. Kind of like, don't get me wrong, I love remakes. I like adaptations. Like, me, I'm finally might be actually getting an adaptation I've been waiting for, which is Lock and Key, which Hulu's just ordered a pilot episode for. So, like, I like the idea. It's just I do get why people complain about it sometimes. Because, like, look, we can use Spider-Man as an example. Spider-Man now, in the last 10 years, has had 3 reboots.
Okay, so the one that came out in 2001 with Tobey Maguire, was that actually a reboot? Was there something before that other than the cartoon?
Yes, there's like all.
He's talking Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah,
and
the last thing those are things you have.
The new guy.
Well, I know, but like, was there something?
Yeah, there was in the 70s. There was a Spider-Man movie. There's also one in Japan. There was also an Avengers movie in the 70s.
Okay, I knew about that one.
And I think a Captain America movie as well. So.
So, with Spider-Man, why there's so many reboots and stuff? Amazing Spider-Man is separate from Spider-Man. And the Spider-Man we have now for Homecoming is Disney and Marvel actually have the fucking rights away from Sony, finally.
Yeah.
Because those first 3 movies, back in 2001 onwards, I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Andrew Garfield, though, got fired from being Spider-Man. That's the reason we don't have a third Amazing Spider-Man.
Why did he get fired?
I can't remember. There was like a whole couple articles on it.
Okay, it's done.
And yeah, he got fired from being Spider-Man essentially.
Why?
I'll have to go back and I'll even see if I can post the articles to it because I thought it was just kind of funny.
Assume he was being a dildo.
Probably.
Mrs., you got something? Got something to say?
Like where I think that like remaking old movies is good is that like that remake of Ben-Hur they just did. I'm more likely to pay to see that than to pay to rent or whatever the old Ben-Hur, because the old Ben-Hur, a lot of like people and animals died in it, and I don't support that. This one's a little fucking safer.
That's actually part of a series of reboots that are coming out. Like we had The Mummy, which is actually that's still owned by Universal. They're redoing all their original monster movies, starting with The Mummy. They're going to be doing a Dracula and a Frankenstein as well. Mm-hmm. Going back to all their classics, the Swamp Thing, like all their old monster movies they're going to be redoing here. But like that's the question. When's too soon? When's too, like you're talking about for okay, words.
Hold on, are we still on Ben-Hur?
Well, Ben-Hur, but like anything, like what, like I think this is a good example. Like that's old enough where I could see like that's such a big gap between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben-Hur specifically. I'm definitely not old enough to have ever seen it.
No, I think it's from like the 20s.
Oh, I thought it was like 54 or something. Yeah,
maybe
it's been remade like twice.
No,
because
it came out with a color version at one point.
Okay,
so they colorized it.
Because I find the VHS all the time, and it's such a huge movie that it's on 2 VHSs. It's kind of like Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, it came out in the 20s. It was black and white. Then I think in the 60s or 70s they colorized it, like Technicolor.
Okay.
And it came out again.
Okay, so that's a really long time. You'd have to be like a centennial to actually have seen that in theaters or something.
And that's why, like, when's too soon and when's it old enough? Like, we're talking about, like, the being gap is 20 years for a movie too much, or we're talking something like less than 10 years, or less than 5 years for a remake.
I don't think any gap for a remake is bad. Like, it could literally be 2 months. I wouldn't care. Because just because they're remaking it, or they're doing a reboot, or they're doing some estranged prequel, sequel, whatever, doesn't detract from the value of the original. I mean, you could still go back and watch the original Footloose without ever seeing the new one or thinking about it or anything.
Andrew Garfield apparently was fired because he snubbed Sony chief Kaz Hiraji by not going to the Sony gala in which they would have announced him as in Spider-Man 3. Apparently.
God, they're like little kids.
Yeah. Well.
He didn't want to travel to Japan, so he snubbed us.
No, he was there. He just didn't want to go.
Like,
he was tired.
It's like, hey, I need to sleep. Yeah, well, you're fired and we're not doing this movie, even though it'll make us millions of dollars.
Yeah.
That's on you, man.
And as far as, like, me saying there's trends, like, there are a lot of them. Like, the big thing right now is comic book and video game adaptations of movies.
Yeah, it's starting to drive me crazy.
And it's a lot. Like, I'm not saying there isn't original movies, but I'm saying there are a lot more adaptations and remakes of things right now than there is of wholly original movies.
And apparently the original Ben-Hur was from 1959. I'm clearly thinking of something else.
I mean, you watch a lot of old movies.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I lost my thought.
I like how The Life of Brian has a similar font to Ben-Hur for their poster.
That's a common thing. I still feel like you're focusing too much on like a certain subset of movies and stuff. Because like if you look at superheroes in video games, they're all adaptations. I mean, and those are the biggest blockbusters right now, so that's what you see the most of. But if you look past those, you'll see that the 3 other movies in the theater right now.
Yeah. And I myself even have a slight bit of a problem with the fact that they're doing sequels to things like so long after. Like we were Cars 3 for no apparent reason that it's been 7 years since the last one came out. Like even though I liked it, you have Jurassic Park having a sequel after like more than 10 years. Like it's
Jurassic World.
Yeah, Jurassic World. It's like, well, I was 7 when the Jurassic Park 2 came out. I was like 10 or 11 when Jurassic Park 3 came out.
I remember the first one was 93.
I don't know what any of these things are. I don't even know if that is considered original. If you're like, oh, shit, guys, we're running out of ideas. Fuck you. Let's just do a sequel to this. We already have the premise, the characters, you know.
So I think it's technically a sequel because it's set however many years afterwards, right?
Yeah, it's a sequel.
But it's still technically a reboot because it's bringing it to a new generation with new actors and stuff.
But I'm like, it's like they're struggling for ideas. And you know what? You want to hear this thing I am enjoying for reboots? Is not really a reboot. I don't know if you consider this a reboot. This is something I kind of find interesting. Is you know how I feel about Resident Evil movies?
Yeah.
Okay. The fact of the matter is that the actual animated Resident Evil movies are becoming very popular. They're keeping coming out every couple of years, and I love them. And they're better storylines and better movies than the full Hollywood adaptations of Resident Evil.
I'm okay with that.
Like, and not even just like a little bit better. They're a lot better, and they're actually accurate to the storyline. They can be considered canon in the Resident Evil storyline, where the movies done in Hollywood couldn't.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Batman's actually kind of like that. I know a lot of people who didn't care about like the Christopher Nolan stuff, but they're like, yeah, Batman Killing Joke and like Batman Joker, Batman Returns, like all the animated movies, they're all over that shit.
How do you guys feel about like really a character that really belongs to an actor, like Ace Ventura? They're supposedly trying to reboot it without Jim Carrey.
Nobody wants to hire Jim Carrey anymore.
But you can't have Ace Ventura without Jim Carrey because Ace Ventura is Jim Carrey.
Well, I still feel it's kind of like it's the same as like the time limit thing. It doesn't detract value from the original movie. Like, you don't have to go see that one, and if you do, you can still be like, "Okay, that's a thing." But Ace Ventura with Jim Carrey is a thing, but it's a better thing.
Well, yeah, or like we were talking about it, like Tim Curry is Pennywise for me. Like, that is he made that character.
He is also like that. What's his name? The one in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah,
he is that character. And if you change it to anyone else, then it's just like
transvestite from Transylvania.
Yeah.
And like, but when you do get a remake, you've seen the theater adaptation of Rocky.
I did. I was so pissed off because at first when I watched it, they made it sound like it was a remake of the movie, but then you later find out that no, it's just kind of like a one-time for TV thing. And then I wasn't so mad, and I was like, okay, I can enjoy this now. But it's like,
there's like one that's timeless. Like, you wouldn't want to actually remake.
Well, like the actual video.
Yeah.
Like the actual movie. Because I'm pretty sure that was like a play before it was a movie. But it was a really, really popular play because lots of places did them. My girlfriend, her mom, always likes to bring up stories about him because she went to like a real Rocky Horror Picture Show back in the day. They're like, yeah, you're like sitting in the audience and you're like literally throwing rice at people and stuff.
Yeah, they still do that. Some theaters, you still go there on Halloween, you throw bread at the screen, and
you get up and sing with the movie and stuff.
Yeah.
Not the movie though, like actual actors and stuff, because it was, they had a screenplay.
The movie itself actually started the whole trend of cult classics and midnight releases of movies. They didn't have those before.
See, that's weird to me, and it's probably because I was so young, but I don't remember there being a midnight release at our theater until I was at least like 10 years old. So maybe it was just our theater was like, no.
Well, who wants to stay up? And we didn't have many people. We had a smaller population. Nobody wants to stay up past midnight anyway, so they didn't do it really here. They don't do too often.
Because everyone here is either old or has young children.
So, I don't know. And overall, like, I'm not saying I don't like adaptations or anything. I just feel like we are having a lot of them lately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I would like to see a couple more original things.
I think we're noticing it a lot more too because they're remaking things from our childhoods.
Well, and video games and comic books. But like, we have this issue with comic books. Like, okay, well, Star Wars. Is it original? We're having issues with that. Like, hey, we have the Star Wars movie. Now we have all, and is the new Star Wars movie even original because it's pulling from all the what now is considered legends?
Which movie?
Star Wars Episode 8, 7, 8, and 9. Disney has straight up basically admitted that they're going to be pulling from what's now considered legends for the books and comics. So like they're not even being really original with the Star Wars movies because they're literally strongly pulling from what they've now nerfed it and is considered legends, not canon. Star Wars canon.
I mean, financially it makes sense to not have to write a new story, but like, I don't know. It's hard to determine it's almost like in video games with like the Zelda timeline.
Yeah.
It's like this thing never meant to have a timeline.
Yeah. I don't know.
Let's make one anyways.
And, you know, like, I get used to it a little bit because, like, well, I read a lot of Marvel, and, like, if you're reading Marvel, you have to start getting used to the whole multiverse.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm a big fan of Rick and Morty, which, Season 3!
Yeah, we should have had that in Geek News. Have you seen episode 2?
Yes. Is it romancing? Was it Rick?
I don't know.
It's another movie reference where they replaced one of the words with Rick.
Yeah.
Romancing the Stone or something like that.
Yeah.
I still want to see the fight scene that we got a preview a year ago of him being Pickle Rick and like killing all those rats with his like biological like exosuit, jumping out of the toilet. I still want to see that scene actually animated.
I want the from the intro of the Cthulhu.
Finally, I think that's going to be the last episode. I bet you they've already made it and it'll be the final episode.
The missus is freaking out.
I remembered that thing I was excited about. American Horror Story Season 7. They put out the new trailer and we got some of the new cast.
What's the theme?
That's been around much longer than I thought it was.
What? Well, you saw the trailer.
Well, yeah. Cult. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we're gonna see Charles. We'll see some
Manson.
Charles Manson in that.
I
references.
don't know about that one, but
He's the whole cult dude. You're
it's
referencing
like Jonestown.
Yeah, and Jonestown will probably be referenced in there somehow too.
Right.
Every time they do a scene, they reference every horror movie ever that has to do with that theme.
I've never actually seen this show. Is it like documentary like, or is it fictional?
It changes.
It's fictional.
It's fictional.
Real life.
It's awesome though.
So
if they have purple drink in there, don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
So it's like every season of American Horror Stories has a theme. The first one was ghosts. There was a circus theme. There was
it was a freak show.
Freak show. Then there was the witches.
There was Asylum.
Yeah,
it's got a theme. There was one that was like serial killers and stuff where they had like H.H. Holmes and
No, it was not the hotel.
Yeah, hotel. It was basically just like a bunch of like really prolific serial killers.
Every time they do one of these things,
he was in there.
If you love Easter eggs, and especially horror movie Easter eggs, in each one they essentially reference like basically every horror movie that ever had to do with that theme. So if you did the hotel, they did Norman Bates. They referenced that, like shit like that. Like everything is just referenced in that.
Except they put Lena Dunham in season 7.
I don't know who that is. Okay, so I had a thing I was gonna say about video games. It's almost like archetypal. So it's like the platforming video game. How many times can you have someone jump on a platform and it be original? And I kind of get it, but at the same time, I feel like people are just bitching for the sake of bitching.
Yeah, I get that with video games to a point. Like, my thing with video games, you get like, how many times can somebody think, I don't care. Like, I love first-person shooters. But to me, it's not so much the shooting, it's the storyline going on in there, and then I'm playing it first. I just enjoy first-person shooters and the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, it's... I don't know, I just see it a lot where people are like, oh, once you beat this boss, you can get his ability or something. It's copying Mega Man.
Yeah, I don't...
It's like, okay, maybe they took inspiration and stuff, but this whole game isn't centered around this one thing. And this game has its own characters, it's got its own story and all this other shit. It's original. I mean...
The problem with doing so many adaptations and everything and not having the new generation get exposed to the old stuff is when they do get exposed, they get mixed up and thinking like, hey, we had this problem with Justin Bieber covering the Beatles. None of his fans ever even knew who are so young that they never even knew who the Beatles were.
Yeah.
So when he did a cover of their song and then somebody pointed out that it was a cover of this and they didn't miss the part where he said he's covering this song, they thought and got outraged, like whole thousands of his fans got outraged saying that the Beatles were plagiarizing Justin Bieber.
Well, that's a huge thing with A, stupidity, and 2. A and 2.
Yeah.
What's that thing about stupidity?
Yeah,
A, stupidity, and B, maturity, because I mean, if you don't look it up or anything, how are you supposed to know to begin with? It's not like the Top 40 radio is going to play Justin Bieber's rendition and be like, oh, by the way, and then play the Beatles right after. Like, that just isn't going to happen, so how are people exposed to it? You know, as someone grows up, they can be like, yes, things have been remade. I understand this. I'm not going to go post in a forum.
That being said, like, it would be nice to say with, like, for the trailer for it, if they're like adaptation of Stephen King's and a remake of the 1980s version, because that's what it is, and then people would be like, the stupid people even would be like, this new one coming out, it's a remake? Oh, go watch the original, or at least they know enough that there is an original.
Yeah.
Some people don't. I bet you there are kids out there that don't even realize that the new movie It coming out is based off a book that Stephen King wrote.
Yeah.
Hell, I doubt there's people that realize that Dark Towers that comes out soon is based on a book series done by Stephen King. It's not based on the comic book. The comic book's based off the book. And the fact if you don't show these kids the originals, then that's the kind of or at least educate them that there is an original. That's the kind of problems you run into. So
I mean, I still feel like that's only a problem for the stupid.
Plus, it makes kids appreciate it. Like, if I have a kid, I'll say with Ben-Hur, I'll probably have them watch the original and then watch the remake.
And they'll fucking hate you for making them watch the original.
The original's an awesome movie.
What?
The original Ben-Hur? That's a good movie.
Oh my god.
He said he's gonna force his kid to watch like the original before the new one. I said your kid's gonna fucking hate you for making them watch the original.
Yeah, and like, did you not hear what I said about the original being like...
Okay, but what a better example, Ghostbusters.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, sure, maybe, but I still don't think the kid's gonna give half a fuck about the old Ghostbusters. They're literally gonna be looking at it and be like, man, their beams look weird. And they're just gonna be like, Dad, this is stupid. And then they're gonna watch the new one and they're like, wow, look, the slime's like exploding. It's all neon and shit.
Okay, so I was right that Ben-Hur was from the 20s. There was a silent version of Ben-Hur in 1925.
Okay. So yeah, this has already kind of been remade.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like, okay, with video games, if you're say your kid's coming out with Kirby like 32. And you're having a kid, are you gonna like show your kid the original Kirby at all? Because I know you'll have it.
I mean, if they want to see it, I'll show it to them.
So you'll try to present like, I won't force my kid, but maybe I'll present. Hey, you're going to go see?
Yeah, I know one guy. He goes by Rob Man, and he had a kid, and his kid's probably like 8 years old now. It's been a long time since I've heard anything come from him. But he actually did it where he started his kid on the Atari 2600 and went up through the generations till they reached the most current one. Which I thought was like a nifty idea, but I don't know if...
Kids must be skilled at video games.
I feel... Okay, it's kind of bad to make anyone do anything, especially when they're young and impressionable. But if you were going to do that, it kind of makes sense to start them out when they're like 3 years old, because they won't have exposure to like a Switch or something. You'd be like, hey, play with this, rod and button.
Well, it's kind of how
Atari
I got
2600.
I got tossed an NES when Super Nintendo was out.
Yeah.
My cousin had bought a new Sega Genesis. He didn't want his NES anymore. My parents were like, "Can we give it to your small cousin?" He's like, "Sure enough." And that's how I ended up playing.
Okay, that's a little different because you had like one console above you and you got a hand.
But I didn't know about.
But you didn't. You hadn't.
And I didn't have the concept.
You didn't have 6 buttons
Yeah.
to like go. What are these ones on top?
He came to me the first time I visited one of my cousins after they bought the Super Nintendo, and I'd been playing the original Nintendo. I'm like, I didn't even know there was different consoles. The first time I saw it, I was like, what's this? There's more buttons? So, but on that note, we've come to, what time is it now?
1:24.
We should probably come to a close.
Yeah.
Overall, are we all fans of adaptations?
No.
I don't mind them, but some of them are just like, wah.
Would we like to see more? Would you guys like to see more original movies?
Heck yeah.
I watch anime movies, okay? That's like the bulk of what I watch when it comes to videos is anime type things. Most of them are original.
Heck yeah for originality. Go Netflix.
So we'll end here with the going out question to anybody who's actually managed to listen this long. Are there any adaptations you like, and is there any that you dislike?
Flame Wars.
Oh.
Can't have a flame war when you have no subscribers.
This is the Distinct Society saying goodbye.
The Jukeboxhero.
The messes. The pretty one.
Because the ugly one's not here today.
It's too bad he doesn't listen to these.
He's gonna listen to them eventually. He's like, do you know they like insult you every time you get out here?
We insult him when he is here, so like.
Hey, this is payback. I listened to the podcast when I wasn't here. Scufflewick.
Yeah. Oh, Distinct never shuts up. Shut up, Scufflewick.
Did you see the thing on Facebook that he posted?
No.
He's like, do you know take somebody you know who can talk 12 or more hours, and he tags me, and then and I tag him back in the comments, and my parents are like, you know that saying, birds of a feather, George. And he's like, and then he tried to comment back. I'm like, no.
He was like, at least I don't chase after cars to continue a
conversation. Oh yeah, I remember. And then I'm like, yeah, no, you running's too hard. You call them.
Burn.
Because he's fat.
Because he does do that.
Oh god.
He'll call you out. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot to.
Okay, but legit, like you.
Both of you.
Okay, so like.
I mean, I did like the most talking on this episode, but.
We are going to Distinct's parents for supper. He will see them at 6 p.m. He phoned his mom to have a conversation and then kept trying to bring up new things as if he wasn't seeing her 4 hours later.
No, just if he didn't do that, he would just be talking about it then.
Which is fine.
No,
because he's going to talk about it then anyways.
No, you'd just be there
because
later.
he only told his mom. He now has to repeat it to his dad and brother.
Oh, yeah.
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 I don't let my customers leave either.
Okay, that's really bad.
I get bored. I don't see anybody for an hour and a half, and I feel sorry for the first customer that comes after I've had like a huge gap between customers.
Humans!
Human mustache.
I noticed it's been getting bad. Like if I've had a couple customers in a row, I'm fine just letting them go. Like, hey, I have another customer. See you. Bye. But when it's been like 2 hours since I've seen the last customer, I've noticed like every time I've had a customer come after that, they always leave saying, "Bye, Daniel."
You know that George Carlin bit where he's talking about people who do phone calls that like never know when to shut up, and you're like reaching the point where you're like making gestures, and you're like, and another thing is like, oh fuck.
Yep, that's me.
I do have all that. I'm like, and go, and he's just like.
Remember, if you liked what you heard today, please remember to subscribe and like the video. And if you would like to hear anything particular, don't forget to comment down below. Thank you and have a nice day.